All right. Do I look at the camera when I do this? Am I in focus?
You look in focus. No, you're not.
I don't have my glasses or right contact in.
I
Come
don't
on,
know you wear
red
contacts.
lines. Oh, yeah. Contact guy. All right. There we are.
Nice.
Oh. There it is.
What an excellent way to pull focus
I know.
on a 24-inch TV from 15 feet away without eyewear.
Yeah. You made a valid point there. Anyways, what's up, peeps? Welcome to the Follow Focus podcast. Follow Focus. We're here.
You okay?
We're
man?
back.
You okay?
Dude, I'm good. It's been a long past couple days.
I understand that. This week has been a lot.
Yeah.
We are recording this on a Friday afternoon. So this is our way of winding down from the week.
This is our deadline.
Yeah.
You know, like your deadline when you're creating stuff. This is our deadline.
Yep.
Because you're going to see this on Tuesday. So
Yeah. We are doing this for you.
Yeah, this is for you. Yeah. Look at all the angles.
We were at an event. You were like DJing,
I was
emceeing,
spinning it.
and I was doing video for it last Friday. That was Friday night.
That was Friday.
Right? Yeah, and
That
we were
felt
there
like a year ago.
Yeah, but we were there late. I was there until like about 1:30. You were spinning
I
tracks
was
until 2 a.m.
There till 2 a.m. and packed up and out of there in 25 minutes.
Nice.
Yeah. It was pretty quick. I mean, it was easy. It was a simple setup. But we both started our day at the coffee and contacts.
That's right.
thing
Yeah, we started at 7:30 a.m.
And I did something the day before that went pretty late. And then I woke up. What did I do? Can't remember.
It's a
besides
haze.
the point. It's
Yeah.
fine. Remember did I text it to you? Or you texted you or Malachi? I was like,
Oh, he's losing.
I
it.
thought this thing was at 7 a.m.
Yes. You
I
were in
got
the
there at
parking lot.
6:45 in the parking lot at 6:45 for an event that was at 7:30.
Hey, better to be there earlier rather than late.
I was there.
Yeah.
I was there.
No, that was a Frederick Chamber of Commerce event, which
Yep.
is those are lovely to go to.
And then I was awake until 3 a.m.
Yeah. Oh, I knew going into that day. I was like, this is gonna start at 7:30 a.m. and I'm gonna be going until 2 a.m. And I had like a doctor's appointment in the middle.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
you did.
So I had a very, very full day.
I don't know.
We both
I'm
did.
not even going to think about what I did that day.
This is the downside of running a business.
Yeah.
Especially I think for something like we do where it's like if you've got a shoot that's for an evening event, you're working that evening.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Guaranteed.
just kind of no way around it.
Which has its benefits, though. Lots of them.
The flexibility can be really nice. Like you can, if there's not a chamber event at 7:30 in the morning,
Right.
you could start your day a little bit later
Yeah,
because you know you're going to be up until 2 a.m.
I could set up my alarm like Cam does and just 11 a.m. every day, out of bed and ready to go.
I feel so attacked.
Sorry.
I do not set my alarm for 11 a.m.
Oh, you just naturally wake
Thank
up
you
at
very
11.
much. No. If I was going off of when I naturally woke up with no like external
You
intervention,
wouldn't wake up.
it'd be like 2 p.m. That's
oh
like
my gosh.
yeah.
That's how Dallas is. Dallas can sleep.
Yeah.
I can't. Like once that clock hits like 8 o'clock, I feel like I have to be doing something. Just the way my brain is wired.
You
I
morning
just-
people, I don't
I'm
understand.
not even in morning. I just wake up.
You
You,
just-
know, like I don't.
That is being a morning
Listen,
person.
no.
If you are not dragged
there-
kicking and screaming into the day,
I
then you are a
think
morning person.
there's a difference between my scenario and morning people, because morning people brag about being morning people, and they're like, "This is my structured routine.
That is
this,
true.
This and that." I just say I wake up early, and that's just how it goes.
That is true. I used to work with a guy who he was that kind of person. He didn't brag about it. I won't say he bragged about it, but he would come in and everyone would be like, "Oh, how was your morning? Oh, yeah, traffic was whatever, but yeah, I'm good. How was your morning? Oh, it was good. I got up, I walked the dog, I went to a coffee shop, I did the crossword and had a bagel, and then I went for my morning run, came back, took a shower, and then I came into work." I'm like, dude, it is 9 a.m. Slow down.
I'm sorry that you woke up at 2 to get all that done.
Seriously, yeah. I am not. I'm very much a night owl person.
Caught up on emails at 2 a.m. It's fine.
I mean, yeah, I will oftentimes actually something that I will often do is I will send emails at 11 p.m. or midnight, but I will actually schedule them
Genius.
so that it doesn't look like I'm sending
That
things at 11
that might be
p.m.
the smartest thing I've ever heard you say.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm here for.
To kind of keep me down to earth.
Yeah, you're here.
Yeah.
Just keep you here, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about your new toy.
Oh, boy.
Specifically that thing that looks like a detonator.
Or like a pistol grip.
Yeah. It very much looks like a detonator.
Not allowed to say that word on podcast. Make sure you bleep that out.
Never.
We're going to get demonetized from our non-monetized platforms.
Absolutely.
Darn it.
So this is actually so I want to just here. For those of you who are able to see the visual version of this podcast.
If you can't, just find it. It's on YouTube.
If you can't find it, it's on YouTube, and find this moment if nothing else. So this is a follow focus. This is the namesake of our podcast.
The whole foundation.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know what this thing is, this is basically a geared system that allows you to focus a lens, turn the focus dial on a lens from somewhere else on your rig. So instead of having to reach all the way around and grab
awkward positions and
So in this case, this is a manual thing. This is literally just like a knob with a gear. It's about as simple as it gets.
Mm-hmm.
And this clamps onto the side of your rig, and then it means that you can pull focus by, just turning this thing.
Yep.
It's pretty simple. I've had this one since I was in high school. This was like some cheap Amazon follow focus.
The Amazon special.
Yeah, but it works. It worked
and
okay.
you can if you don't have the means to buy a super expensive crazy one, you can get it on Amazon for like $20, $30 maybe.
I think it was like $30.
$30 might be like a higher end manual one.
But what you have something a lot more elaborate.
Yes. So this is Small Rig's wireless follow focus, right? It is called the Magic Fizz, F-I-Z. Now I figured it out in my YouTube University researching.
Okay.
That Fizz isn't just a name; it's an acronym.
Okay.
Hold
on. So focus.
F-I-Z.
F-I-Z. Focus. Is it inter something?
I'm not going to tell you.
Okay. Focus. What is the Z? Focus is important.
Close. Focus, iris, zoom.
Oh my gosh. Okay. That makes sense. Because there's nothing stopping you from putting this on any
Not
of the
just
rings.
a focus machine. So that's why they call it focus machine.
Yeah, focus machine.
What am I saying? It's not just a focus wheel or focus mechanism.
Gee willikers, Brian. Tell me about this brand new focus machine.
But I picked it up. I've really been wanting something like this because, as you guys should know by the last episode, we shoot on Blackmagic, right? Blackmagic does not have autofocus. There is a system for focus, but it's not incredible.
They have if your lens has electronic focus control, they have a push button autofocus.
Right, so it focuses on the point that you.
Yeah, but it's a one-time deal of you push the button, it focuses for that particular instant, and
that's about as much focus as we get using our rigs, right? So I had the same setup, kind of like yours. It's almost identical. The wheel is just a little smaller. And I've tried to use it and it's just terrible. And it's not my favorite thing in the world because up until maybe a couple months ago, I was shooting on my Ronin and I was shooting everything there. And then, my gripe about the DJI Ronin RS2 Pro, I think is what I have. But you have to have an attachment to make your 15 millimeter convert into a 12 millimeter to make the Ronin's focus system that goes right into the thing work.
The way you mount the motor that actually drives the wheels. Yeah.
So the motor, it only connects to a 12 millimeter rod.
Which is not standard.
Not standard, because I now am the proud owner of like 8 15 millimeter foot long small rig rods because of the stuff that I've bought, right? Yeah. Nothing is 12 millimeter.
Yeah.
It's all 15. So full circle, I've been wanting a wireless focus system. Wireless focus systems are expensive.
Yes.
Right? So I built up the courage and spent my, I think it was like $300, $319 or something.
Bad. It's expensive.
Not terrible for what you get with this thing. Okay. So on top of that, I also got a shoulder rig. We could talk about that in a second. So, shoulder rig, kind of cool thing, right? So essentially what this does is, I believe it's some sort of Bluetooth connection that's like automatically paired with the motor, right? You could do it battery, or you can hook USB-C directly into like what I use are the V-mount batteries, right? USB-C, or if you have a V-mount plate that has USB-C, powers right into that. And then the motor can also be powered via USB-C. Now, what's really, really cool about this is that I can sit all the way over here, 15 feet, I guess I could say, from the camera.
Yeah, something like that.
And completely control how focused and distorted and excited, and we've got our little 24-inch monitor, like you were saying, way back there, and I've got my HDMI output to show my zebra or my lines, for my focus lines and stuff. So it's a pretty cool little toy, right? My problem with it, there's 2 things. Blackmagic isn't compatible with the record feature.
That's annoying.
Okay. So it has a feature where the motor has a record out, like it essentially you plug that into your camera and it allows you to trigger it as recording through the handle.
Right.
Okay. Blackmagic doesn't have that yet, because I will never say that it won't happen, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't have that yet. Next thing is I rarely shoot anything on my camera as like a handheld, like side handle rig anymore. Like that used to be what I did, but then I added a monitor, added a microphone, added a V-mount, added all this.
Yeah.
So then your shoulders are going like this within like 10 seconds of
weight.
Right.
Yeah.
So I invested the $90 into the shoulder rig.
I think that's what it was, because I got the same
You got the same thing.
Yeah.
So the shoulder rig is game changer. I got the cheap one. So the downfall is this isn't made to go on this shoulder rig. It's made to have so it's a 1-pin. I told you 2-pin, I think, for the
interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know that's not an RE mount.
Not
that's
the RE mount. I thought it was. It's not. But it is impossible, physically impossible. If you find it on YouTube, I give you $5 to Chipotle, right? Impossible to find somebody that shoulder rig mounted this specific focus system.
Interesting. Because ideally, like with a focus rig system, the idea is you've got basically like a track made of these rails we've been talking about.
Yep.
You've got a pillow on your shoulder that's bolted to these rails.
Yep.
And then the rails extend out in front of you, and then you've got 2 handles that you're supporting the thing from.
Exactly.
So the weight is like kind of carried by your shoulder more so than your arms.
Than your arms and
are
your
just
hands.
like aiming.
Yeah.
So the idea
way
is
more stability than if you were to just do a handheld system in front of you.
Right.
Yeah.
So ideally, basically, you would replace one of the grips that you're using with the shoulder rig by default with this thing.
Yep.
And then suddenly you're holding your shoulder rig and you've got all the controls right at your fingertips.
And if you don't have a Blackmagic camera, you can record and focus. And if you put a second motor on, you have the control of the iris and the zoom and all that kind of stuff. So you could
have 2 motors going.
You can have 2 going at the same.
Yeah.
And so there is an image on the page that sells this, where you can buy this, that shows a dual mounted shoulder rig setup. I cannot find that rig, those handles, anything to make this work.
There's so many different standards. And I will say, this is something that's very annoying about like rig crafting, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, That's a good name for it.
Like I've been dealing with like figuring out how to adapt my rig
Yep.
because I recently made the switch to V-mount batteries based
Just
on your
heaven sent.
It's lovely.
It's
and the idea
incredible.
with a V-mount battery is basically instead of, your camera has an internal battery and then you might be using a monitor and that has a battery and you have a light and that has a battery. And these focus motors have batteries.
Yep.
Everything, instead of having their own individual battery that you have to top off and keep charged, you have just one big brick
Yeah.
that is a massive battery that has multiple outputs that can power everything all at once.
Yeah, and then if you get a nice one, like you got the small rig.
I got the small rig, yeah.
99 what's
The 99 watts.
yeah.
Which is like it's
the flight capable, like that kind of thing.
You can't have a battery that is, and I forget if this is watts or watt hours or whatever the number is. But
Yeah,
basically,
the electricians in the comments are gonna just fry us. It's fine.
Yeah, fry.
I thought of that one.
Yeah, good one. But I whatever the number is, that's like basically the capacity.
Yep.
100 is more than you can carry on a plane. 99, therefore, is the biggest you can be.
100.
It's the biggest you can be and still have it on a plane.
Yep.
Which yours is like a 200.
Mine's huge.
Yours is huge.
So I love yours because of the fact that you can get the form factor, right? And then the ability to carry it on a plane if we do travel shoots or things like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Mine can record 6K, 3-to-1 or whatever it is, powering the monitor and the camera, and then, probably even these for more than 8 hours.
Which is
I've
insane.
put it to the test and it's lasted. It has lights on the side that indicate like every 20%. So there's 5 lights, right? I think I had the last light had just switched from 40 to 20, right? So the last light was on and I was 6.5 hours into a recording.
It's pretty great.
That's insane.
It is insane.
So I could have probably finished out the other 2 hours of it, but I just bought it. I had already planned and brought a second one.
Yeah.
So
and that was when I was looking at batteries. You told me, because I was asking you, like, what do you think about like capacity? What would you suggest? And your biggest advice to me was whatever you go with, plan on getting 2.
Yes. Yep.
And that is 100% the right move. Because like, so mine are half the size of yours, and that both comes in terms of capacity, but also weight.
Literally.
So mine are a lot smaller.
Mine is literally like a brick.
It seriously is.
It's the weight of a brick.
Yeah. Mine is the weight of half a brick.
Yeah, half a brick.
And I can get about 4 hours, a little over 4 hours off of it. For most shoots that I do is plenty.
Where do you shoot more than 4 hours at one? Like, what clients do we have that you sit and shoot for 4 hours straight?
Pretty rare.
Right. So
It has happened.
Right. Yeah.
But that's also
there's a reason I had to get the battery that lasted 8 to 10 hours.
Yeah, especially if you're doing like big
before.
events or something like that.
The reason I got the Pocket 6K was I went from Canon. I didn't want to be a Sony boy, so then I bought an Ursa. I think I talked about this in the first episode.
I don't know if you did actually.
So my evolution of cameras was I had a 50D, right, which is a DSLR camera for photography, right? And I jailbroke it, essentially uploaded a software, Magic Lantern, maybe was the name.
I think
of that.
you told me
I think
about
that's
this.
what that.
Yeah.
Uploaded that software and it lets you record video from it. Now, the battery life of that with it recording video was maybe 5 to 10 minutes. So you could record 5 or 10 minutes straight, but it was like 20 frames per second, like inconsistently 20 frames per second. Like, so you could see it go from 20 to 18, like sometimes. I went ahead and bought actually, I didn't even think about this. Before I bought my Canon RP, my original one, I bought an Ursa Mini.
Oh, yeah.
Before doing really anything with video for real. Because I was like, yeah, I got a good camera. It's going to do good things.
Which, I mean, to be fair,
it does.
the Ursas are great.
But I had no clue what I was doing with it.
And that's a lot of camera if you don't know,
you don't have an inkling of an idea. All you know how to do is change the resolution and change. Sorry, not even change. Just push record.
Right.
if you can do that, the camera's not for you. But basically, I got that. Didn't know what I was doing, so then I sold it for about the same I bought it for. Bought the Canon RP and then learned a little bit more about how cameras work. Like a little bit, like not a ton, a little bit. That's when I started learning like focal lengths and iris and like, you know, what bokeh was. And like, that's what I like figured, bokeh, whatever people want to call it.
You
right?
learned how
So
there is no correct way to pronounce
exactly. And then I bought a second one and I was like, this is kind of cool. And did the live streaming with Wiser and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then went to an R6 and just didn't really shoot much video anymore. And then they had a bunch of overheating issues and things like that. So I was like, yeah, it's too much problem for me. You know, like I didn't really want to have anything to do with it. So I kept one of my RPs and used it for the live streams occasionally and this and that. And then I bought an Ursa again, Ursa Mini. Sorry, I might have said just regular Ursa. There is a real Ursa.
Yeah.
Ursa Mini. I bought that the first time.
Good,
and I bought it
again
the second
Ursas
time. Yes.
Are spins.
Yes.
And they're big.
And they're huge. Yeah. So Ursa Mini, the second time, and I was like, okay, this Blackmagic thing's like really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't understand. So then I sold that one and bought a Lumix S5. So the S5 was like, it was brand new. It just started popping off. Oh, they were talking about how it had like tied #1 with A7 and S3 or something like that for autofocus.
Oh, nice.
And then it had the ability to, I don't think all cameras can do it, but they had the ability to go into the Atmos 5 and record ProRes externally. And then before I bought the S5 Mark II, I was like, do I go Mark II or do I get the Blackmagic 6K, go from ProRes to Blackmagic RAW?
Yeah. Which the Blackmagics can also record ProRes.
They also have ProRes, which I didn't know at that point. Like I had, I pushed my zoom button. I felt me push it. It's sensitive. Let me put it down before I do anything crazy.
Yeah, that is a little.
It's dangerous. But essentially, I didn't know much about Blackmagic still, but I had a way better understanding of cameras.
Yeah.
So YouTube University degree number 75 was learning about Blackmagic and you know, coloring. I had no idea about. I kind of was just throwing things together and making it work. And I was always like, this looks like trash because it did, because I didn't know what white balance was. I didn't know what ISO was. I didn't know what a native ISO was. So I'm shooting, you know, whatever the highest I can go, like 5,000 or 6,000 or whatever in a dark room. And then I take it back home and I start to edit and I'm like, my S5 looks good. This Blackmagic stuff is trash.
Oh, you
but
poor
it's because
thing.
it's so grainy and everything, because I didn't know what ISO meant, or you know, I didn't really understand how to basically set any of it,
right?
You know, or change it to the environment or anything like that. So I was like auto white balance, and then, you know, if I can't see it very well, so then I would boost my ISO all the way up, and it looks like trash. So I'm at the point now, which that experience was probably about a year ago, right? Where I was like, I don't have a clue. Sold the S5 and then was just dialed into using this. And I've thought about buying another one. And then they came out with the full frame and came out with the Ursa Mini 12K and all that kind of stuff. So at least now I have a super solid foundation of how to actually make this thing work the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And it's a workhorse. Even though I have just the regular 6K, not the Pro, not the full frame, is there 6K G2 or something maybe out there? Not yet. Okay. So maybe soon. But yeah, like I've got the solid foundation to now, if I level up and go Ursa Mini
Mhm.
or 6K full frame or Ursa Mini 12K or something like that, there's like it's way easier for me to be kind of on target.
Yeah. You going to all of those other cameras before you actually like really leaned in and dug into the Blackmagic world was probably helpful because Blackmagic as a camera company are kind of odd.
Oh, okay.
Like they're
Elaborate.
they're amazing. I really truly love them. But in the camera world, they're kind of some odd ducks.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way that they do things, the way that their software works, the features that they add is very very different from other companies. Like very rarely do you hear of a camera company like a Sony or a Canon who will say, "Hey, this camera that we released 3 years ago, we're releasing a software update to it that is adding new features."
Yes,
Like,
that's valid.
It's kind of unheard of.
Because I mean, you were with me at the beginning of my discovering that you can update the firmware on your camera
Yeah.
journey, and it was the firmware that allows you to turn the camera turn it on its side, and it would turn into vertical format video recording.
And the UI
UI
would rotate
turned with it.
Yeah.
Yep. And then after you record like that on the back end,
It's
it comes
tagged.
out that way.
It's tagged so that it knows that is how it's working. So you don't have to rotate the
Exactly.
video
Yep.
in post. Yeah.
And you were like, yeah, that happened like earlier last year or something like that. And I was
like a few months
yeah,
ago.
and I was like, oh, I didn't know this was a thing.
And we were just talking about how they actually just came. It's a public beta, so I haven't
Right,
put it
yep.
on my camera yet because
You're beta.
it's business
Male,
critical.
just
I'm not gonna. I need that thing to work.
yeah.
But they have just come out. I think it's 8.6, something like that, which is adding the ability. It's adding a lot of stuff, but it's adding the ability for the cameras to plug in through a USB cable to your computer and act as a webcam.
Yep. That's
Which
so
I've
cool.
actually used my camera as a webcam before, but I've had it go through like an HDMI capture card into
yep.
USB. This is just like it's a
Straight
switch.
through.
You enable it, you plug it in, it shows up, and it's perfect.
That's so cool.
And it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Coupled with it's actually also adding the ability to plug your phone in through USB, and your phone can basically act as a like a Wi-Fi connector.
Oh yes, you were telling me.
And then it will upload
the footage to
the Blackmagic
Cloud. Yep.
Which is super cool. I don't know how useful that's going to be. Simply because when are you in a place where the Wi-Fi can handle uploading like 120 gigabytes of footage? Like
minute. That's like a minute. That's like
depending on the quality. But it's like
Right.
you go full quality 6K.
Yeah, you're averaging like 100 gigs a minute for that type of stuff.
Seriously. I mean, like this show, well, the last podcast we did, we recorded for like a little over an hour, something like that. We had 2 angles.
Yeah. We were
and
12 to 1, weren't we? I think that's what we were at.
Not quite 12 to 1. I think we were one
8 to 1?
higher than that. I think we were 8 to 1.
Yeah.
As far as like the compression goes. But that was like, gosh, I think that was something like 500 gigs for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Which is still pretty decent considering it's 6K and the
Yeah.
quality of it. But so Blackmagic has some really interesting ways of doing things and thinking about things, which I feel like you only really appreciate if you have the context of working on a Canon or a Sony or a Panasonic.
Building up to that type of world.
Yeah, you understand like, oh, this is actually like the UI is the biggest thing that I love about them.
It's incredible. And even I haven't had my hands on a 4K, but like the size of the screen is massive.
It truly is.
And you even like an R6 or like a what's the new one now is like A7R5 or something like that, and or A7C whatever, right? On Sony.
Mm-hmm.
Even their FX series, the screen is the standard little tiny.
It's the same like
rectangle.
3-inch diagonal.
Yeah. And my Blackmagic regular 6K has a 5-inch screen on the back of it. Now, granted, it doesn't move or tilt or do anything like the Pro, but that's massive.
Yeah.
And it's all touchscreen. And it and the other ones are, but my finger is way too big to be hitting
Oh,
those
yeah.
little tiny buttons on that little tiny screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the UI just is not optimized for it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Like Blackmagic, their buttons are, I mean, the thing that I love about the Blackmagic is that from a UI standpoint, you can look at your screen, and if you see like a number, if you see like your shutter speed,
Yeah.
you want to change your shutter speed, tap on that number.
Don't even have to go into the settings. Don't even have to do anything.
You don't have to dig. You just
have
tap
to hit
on
that.
what you want.
That every camera has that stupid scroll reel that lets you
Yep.
scroll through the menu and the settings and all that stuff.
Which the Blackmagic has the little scroll wheel.
How often do you use it?
Never.
Never.
I literally the other day
Never.
was setting up my rig, and I was like, oh yeah, what does that thing do? Apparently I can change the exposure with it, but I never do. Because it's just
so
much-
easy to go boop and then hit your little slider or hit the little arrows and
So cool. So my camera journey was I started on mini DV, or specifically
Yep.
HDV, but it was the same thing. My first like professional quote unquote camera was a Canon XH-A1,
Yes.
which is a sort of like all-in-one. It was not an interchangeable lens system. Kind of like the classic, you think about like old school like video journalism. That's the camera you
Yeah,
picture.
yeah.
Shot to tape, mini DV, 1080i. It's a good camera.
Yeah.
It was a workhorse. But it connected through FireWire.
Oh,
remember
wow.
FireWire?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was
that, and having an IT background, that was like the stuff that in the hallways of the university, they had like things with FireWire connections and things like that in glass cases, because that's how ancient of history it was in
Gosh.
2015.
dude, that makes me feel so old.
Isn't that
'Cause
crazy?
I ran friggin' everything off of FireWire.
Yeah.
FireWire 400 and then FireWire 800. And those are some weird looking connectors. Look up a FireWire 800 connector.
Yeah, especially if you
haven't
don't know
seen
what
one.
that is. Yeah.
It's the weirdest looking thing. But that was my start. And then when I upgraded from that for my own rig, that was when I was in college, and I went from Canon to Panasonic, and I got
Yeah.
an AF100, which used a Micro Four Thirds mount.
Mm-hmm.
So my first interchangeable lens system was a Micro Four Thirds.
That's cool.
It was a lovely system. I mean, that thing got me through college. That got me through like some of my very early like freelance video work. Did not do 4K. It was a 1080p camera, but recorded to SD cards. It was AVC HD. It had, XLR inputs. That's always been a big thing for me. Like I never had like a Canon 5D, even though like the visuals you could get back when the 5D was like this revolutionary thing of being a DSLR that could record video. It did not have good audio
And
support.
What's crazy is the 5D Mark III and up is like still part of like the industry standard for like photography, right? So in the photo world, the 5D Mark III, I believe it is, and the 1DX Mark II or something like that are like the photography cameras still.
Yeah.
Now they have the R5 and the R6 and those series of things, but if you're just getting into photography and getting into that industry, you could pick up a 5D Mark III and a couple lenses for like $1,500 or $1,600.
Yeah.
And it's still got some life to it, which is so cool.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think nowadays, I think you could actually get away with, if you were building like a super minimal video rig,
Yeah.
I think you could get away with it.
Yeah.
And I think part of the reason you can is that 5D does not have better microphone support. It has, I believe they have like a 3.5 millimeter like jack
Yeah.
in now, I think. So you could like plug something into it. Biggest issue is that it's still just a DSLR. So like the preamps are not good.
Yeah.
So you're going to get a lot more noise. It's not going to be super clean. But you think about like the wireless lab systems that we use nowadays. They all have internal recording.
Yeah. Yep.
So like you can just record off of that.
And multi-channel recording.
Multi-channel
in some
recording and just
aspects,
sync
too.
it up in post and you're good to go. Eventually I stopped using the AF100 because I wasn't doing freelance work anymore.
Yeah.
That was when I was in my Discovery days. And so I was using Discovery
Discover
equipment.
card, right?
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah.
But so Discovery, the team that I was with, we had our own like internal gear, and that was Canon C300s.
Oh, yeah.
And
C300.
yeah, which
That's
are
still relevant.
100%.
Still very relevant.
I have another client that I do who they have C300s as well. We were working with C300 Mark IIs.
Mm-hmm.
There's a client of mine that I work with now who uses their own equipment, and they used a C300 Mark III.
Oh, wow.
Which I had not seen before, and they kind of rejiggered it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like it is visibly
I've seen a lot of people doing using C300s for weddings, like a lot of C300s for weddings.
They're great.
Mm-hmm.
They're great cameras. You can get some really amazing footage with them, and they use like the same lenses.
Yeah,
it's Canon
Are they
glass.
EF mounts?
I
still
no, they are
Yeah.
because I actually I recently bought a 70 to 200 millimeter Canon.
I know you have.
And I knew that they were good because I used to use that exact same lens with the other C300 things.
Ah, okay.
So that was partially how I knew, like, yeah, this lens is awesome.
Yeah. When we were looking at the 70 to 200s online, we were fine. Like, obviously it's eBay. Like, you never know what you're going to get with eBay, but you were finding listings for $400, $500, $600, like $650 on the high end.
600 was about like the median,
right? Yeah, for the make sure it's like if you're gonna go buy one, make sure it's f2.8 unless you really want a f4.
That's the thing. Yeah, which honestly, the f4 versions are not that much cheaper.
No.
Like,
I mean, like maybe like $150 on average, like
maybe.
if that. Yeah. But the difference between the 2.8 and the 4 is just the
huge.
Quality is crazy.
If you're using them for like outdoor or like sports photography, I think that might be why they're still kind of relevant.
Yeah.
But yeah, for video stuff, the f2.8 is huge.
And they have like that white cream color, so it makes it look like it's more expensive because that's what people associate.
Oh, you think it looks more expensive? You think it looks better?
That is what the normal general society thinks when they think camera. They don't think camera body expensive, they think lens expensive. If it's white and cream, they think that's the expensive one.
I hate that it's
that is like the worldly norm.
I want everything else on my rig is black. It's sleek, it's low profile. I want it to be blacked out. Like you know those car people that like will black out.
Called
they're like,
murdered. They want to murder it out.
Yeah, there you go. I'm not like that with cars. I'm like that with my rig.
Yeah.
But yeah,
just get one of those stickers. They got really cool sticker companies. You can get a black sticker for
get
it.
like a D-brand
D-brand,
skin for the lens. That
for
would
your 70 to 200
if
lens.
D-brand made skins for like cameras and lenses,
there are companies out there that do that. They have there's absolutely a company out there that has made
pretty niche. I got a vinyl wrap for my Roomba one time. It's pretty great.
There's no way. You just said that to me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I found.
So you got a vinyl wrap for your Roomba, and you don't think there's a vinyl wrap for the 70 to 200 lens?
No.
They do body wraps. You know that, right?
Yeah, but like that's such a specific thing.
Why wouldn't they do it?
And it's such a weird shape because you can't interfere with any of the switches and stuff. I don't know. The Roomba wrap was pretty great though because I found one that they printed it. They printed it in the same, like, in a wood pattern that matched the my flooring.
There's no way.
I mean,
you stepped on that thing 100 times. You had to. That's why you don't use it anymore.
Dude, it's still a freaking Roomba. You're aware that it's there.
Yeah, you see its little things out on the side and hear it coming around. Yeah,
that's the main thing. Yeah. You hear it. You hear it coming around. Anyway, regardless of that tangent, so I was total Panasonic and Canon up until I left Discovery and was putting together my own rig for the first time because I hadn't needed to have my own camera for like 10 years.
Yeah.
So that was when I was looking around, and I had had a Blackmagic camera before.
Oh.
When I had my AF100, I got the original Pocket 4K.
Oh yeah.
I'm not talking
like
about
the original rectangular,
the one that looks like a digital still camera from like 2005.
They're all over eBay for like $200 and $300. Yeah. Are they're
like
Micro
Four Thirds?
Yeah.
So that was part of the idea was that
going over because you already had the Micro Four Thirds from the AX100, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I was able to just like put my own lenses on that, and I kind of used it as a little bit of a B camera. And it was
how much did that cost back then?
Back then, oh gosh, 800.
Okay,
was not- it was not much.
relative to what you can get like a 6K body for, like 850, 900, regular 6K.
Oh, regular
6K
6K,
Pro,
sure,
you're
yeah.
still in like 1500 range, like 12 to 15.
Yeah.
But that's kind of cool to know. I mean, you could actually, fun fact too, since I've in the recent year and a half, 2 years, I've purchased 2 different Ursa Minis.
Mhm.
So when I bought the first one, it was like 1650. When I bought the second one, it was like 1250.
Mm.
And they're around that $1,000 mark. I wouldn't recommend to start out there.
Yeah.
Definitely go for a 6K or a 4K pocket or something like that. But for $1,000, like, you know,
That's a great camera.
that's a great camera. So it's cool that you kind of pulled like what I did was I went to having my Lumix,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
Panasonic, Lumix, they're like friends, right?
Yeah.
And basically my B camera was my 6K.
Yeah.
So that's kind of neat that's kind of how your brain went too.
Yeah. And it was also like just such a cool form factor. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm kind of glad that they don't make that form factor anymore because like the biggest problem with it was batteries
Mm.
because it used, I forget what the number or acronym
Was it super proprietary or
No,
was
it wasn't. No, it was
was like
super
a standard one.
It was like
Okay.
a standard Sony battery, but because it was such a tiny little thing, batteries were so small. You got about 20 minutes of
So your
runtime.
capacity was
Like you talk about when you
Wow.
hacked your old
yeah,
your old Canon,
my 5D or my 50D.
your
yeah.
50D, yeah. It was that level of battery life, except that was
Wow.
like not hacked. That was just
Yeah,
how it
that
was.
was literally how it was, and that was what it was made for. And
Yeah.
it was made to last 20 minutes.
Yeah. But the thing that was so cool about it was because it was so small, but you could get 4K video out of it with
Mhm.
like micro four thirds lenses. So the stuff looked gorgeous.
Yeah.
I could just bring that with me like out and about, like throw it in my bag. And if I saw a cool shot, I could just get it.
Yep. Last topic I wanted to get to so that you don't have to. Well, now you'll have 750 gigabytes of video. But actually, I have 2 questions. Okay. First one.
We're going to hit a terabyte with this episode. Okay,
Easy
go for
enough.
it.
Okay, ready? The first one is I was thinking about it the other day because we had the conversation about me getting the Magic Fizz. Now we know what Fizz means,
Yep.
right? You remember?
Yep.
What is it?
Focus, iris, zoom.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's good. Why there's nothing else on the market named FIZ? They just have it in the description. I don't know.
So
right?
that was something I was
that's
going to
like
mention.
super prominent
Because like it
for their
makes
marketing.
sense. Focus, iris, and zoom. Those are standard terms. I've never heard them referred to as fizz before
Yeah.
in my life.
Me neither. I just said Fizz because it's literally called Magic FIZ. So Magic Fizz. You know, it might just be me. It might just be me. But
Yeah. No, it's not just you.
we were talking about, like, I had told you that my biggest thing that I ever wanted for my camera rig
Mhm.
was this focus system. I
Right.
took it out to the drag strip, recorded my dad, like doing some crazy stuff. And I was blown away at what I could do with a shoulder rig, massive camera rig, and a zip tied follow focus handle zip tied to that.
Oh, that's
that-
how you did it. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
The only reason it's over here is because I cut the zip tie to bring it over here. Okay.
Got
that
it.
is like, I can't even other than maybe ND filters or like a variable ND, I can't think of another thing I could add to this rig to make it any better.
Yeah.
What is something that you know, money's not an option,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not a new camera.
Okay.
What is the one like piece that you think your puzzle is missing right now?
Honestly, probably the biggest thing is a Magic Fizz.
Oh, you
System.
like the Magic Fizz.
So
You
yeah,
like the wireless follow focus.
I do because
Mhm.
it's especially for things like event coverage that I do, where it's very run and gun. You're setting up a shot.
Yep.
The extra like second or two that it takes once I like get the shot set up to then
Grab
pull the focus
Mhm.
and then reset my grip
and
so
then
that
make
it's
sure that you're
stable.
still there. Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's like, even though I'm on a monopod for a lot of my stuff, moving your hand from the focus ring back to the handles to stabilize it,
Yeah.
as soon as you do that, it shakes. So that would allow me to respond faster.
Yeah. And you know what's really cool? What I appreciate that answer a lot because literally what I just went
you
through.
feel- you
Right?
feel
I literally
justified.
just
Cool.
went through. Your shooting ability becomes way more dynamic at that point.
Yeah.
Because especially if you shoulder rig it, right?
Mhm.
You're walking around like you saw in the clip. I sent you the video of the little edit that I did for my dad,
Yeah.
kind of like an intro sequence to like a drag TV show or
And it
something.
looks so
drag
cool.
racing TV show.
Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah.
If you Google or YouTube drag racing, there are things that you do not want to see. Just so you know.
Okay, good to know.
Don't do it.
Oh, now I'm curious.
Don't do it. There's like 5 relevant topic videos,
Mhm.
and then the rest of it is just not what you want to experience if you want to watch drag racing
Crossover
videos.
of the century, RuPaul's Drag Racing.
What is that? Wait, what?
Are you not familiar with RuPaul's Drag Race?
I think that's what it is.
Okay. That is
I'm like I am very very like I think we're on the same topic
Okay.
here. I
Yeah.
think that's the next 175 videos
it's a
below that
very
one.
popular TV.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's literally what I'm seeing.
Yeah, probably. Oh, you sweet summer child. Maybe these are my years
I'm a
that I
son of
spent.
God.
The years that I spent in reality TV have introduced me to a lot of things.
I've seen your highlight reel, so I can only imagine, you know? Wow. Where was I going? Oh, but like one of the shots in that, it was my dad, my cousin, and my uncle.
Mm.
And they had just got done that race where he popped the wheelie in the car and whatever. They're super happy, excited. I'm walking over here with the shoulder rig and I am capturing my dad. He's standing like 10 feet away.
Mm.
My cousin's about 8 feet away. My uncle's about 6 feet away. But I was able to capture my dad, get his voice line, pan over to my uncle and pull the focus at the same time.
Yeah.
Smooth. It didn't look like I was going like this with the camera to get everything focused and changed and
Yeah.
everything. But it was just all right there, like in one system.
Yeah.
Like it was like bliss. And I kid you not, after I took that shot of them is when I texted you and I said, Cam, it's time.
Yeah.
You need this system.
Yeah. And the form factor of it being in a handle
Yeah.
is big too. Because
Yep.
you can get
The
wireless
wheels, like, yeah, same,
Yeah,
same
it's the same
factors
deal as
that.
this. It's just
Mhm.
wireless. I don't fully understand the point of that. I mean, I guess if you've got a big enough rig, or actually, I have been on shoots where you've got someone who is actually like
That's what I was
not
going to say.
on
Your
the
focus
rig.
puller.
They're
Yeah.
like literally off in Video
Mhm.
Village pulling the thing. So
That
I
is that is where that is the only practical thing that I've seen those wheels used for
yeah.
is a focus puller away from the scene, you know, sitting in a chair with a monitor this close to their face, watching the focus go.
Yep.
I have never seen somebody using it practically on a rig.
Yeah. I think that's probably why those things exist, is for someone who is
Yeah.
off rig
Yep.
pulling focus. Not to say you couldn't do that with this.
Right.
Like the giant dial gives you a little more control.
Yeah,
I
you have the
guess, but-
minute. Yeah, that's so. This goes from 0 to 999, right? So every little tick in that, you can microly move that one tick at a time from this little tiny wheel on the handle.
So you've got like 1,000 points
Yeah,
in a, like, so that's like 0.3 degrees of an angle
Yep.
on the actual
On every
physical
tick.
lens. Yeah.
Which is
I mean,
for you running that on a shoulder rig.
Oh, absolutely.
That's an incredible amount of control that you have.
And it would be great for a monopod too. Like I would have it more as a side handle thing, probably for my monopod.
Yep.
And
that's totally perfect for you because then you don't have to set the monopod, grab,
Yep.
reach, focus like this. You know, I've seen you doing it. I
Yep.
was at that thing the other day
Yep.
when it was 30 degrees outside and I was DJing and we
Yeah.
were walking around doing cornhole, you
Yeah.
know, but you holding it, pulling it and like everything like that. It's so much easier to just be here. You have the handles, you can mount it straight to your cage and just,
Yeah.
And then if the record button ever comes a factor, you don't have to reach up and press or press on the screen. you know?
Yeah. Being able to record from that would be nice.
Yeah.
But
Not necessary.
it's not super
You can
necessary.
already touch your screen from, doing the Blackmagic.
You can touch your screen. They've got the physical
interface.
button on the grip.
Yeah.
And like, honestly, what I've gotten in the habit of doing is I will start recording. If I see like, oh, I want to get a shot, I hit record before I actually get myself in position.
Yep.
So, all my shots have, a couple seconds of like just shuffling around and getting lined up in the beginning. But I would rather have that than miss something.
Yeah.
You know what I wish that Blackmagic would have that actually my
Let's send them an email. Here we go.
I mean, this would be actually very easy for them to add. Because I can't remember. It's either the C300, my AF100 might have had this too.
Okay.
Pre-roll recording.
Oh.
So that's a system that I have used before on other rigs, where basically the system is constantly recording.
Yeah.
And it's sending that to a buffer. So you've got like a 10-second buffer, and then like 10 seconds after it captures the moment, it's deleted the moment.
But
it means that when you hit the record button, it then goes back in time and saves that 10-second buffer.
Wow.
So if you like, it basically is designed for if you point your camera at something and you want to get the shot and you're like, oh, it's happening. And then as soon as you hit record, it's over.
Yeah.
Or like you just missed a big
But you're
moment.
capturing those. Yeah.
That would be such an easy thing for them to add. It would probably drain battery a lot more. But
yeah, because it's recording all the time.
Yeah.
It would be, obviously it's like, yeah, because it'd be reading and writing internally continuously.
Yeah. But it's something you can toggle on and off on other systems.
Yeah.
So, it would be I'm thinking like for event things, for weddings.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's when you want to make sure that you are not missing anything.
Yeah.
I would love to see that. Blackmagic NAB is happening soon. You've already announced the public beta of this next software release, 8.7 software. Give us pre-roll recording. Give us a recording buffer. I'd be very happy. But yeah, hardware-wise, I've got other like wish list items. At some point I want to get a matte box like yours and be able to do the filters. Those are lovely. External monitor would be maybe kind of cool. But like you said, the monitors that are built into these things are pretty nice.
So if you're not, I would recommend, if you're not doing, I would get a monitor if you're shoulder rig like mine. Mine is.
It makes more sense for shoulder rig. And the only other thing that.
But you have the offset, right? You got the offset.
I do.
So
it's not as big of an issue.
Right, yeah.
The one thing that having a monitor would allow me to do is right now my V-mount battery is actually mounted on top of the cage.
Yeah.
I saw someone do that and I really liked it. In a perfect world, the battery would be mounted directly behind the camera.
Yeah.
That's how it works on
kind of like
Ursas.
mine. Yeah, that's how mine was when I go easy rig.
Yeah,
I'll
exactly.
go dual handles right behind the monitor, and I have a monitor up to the side.
But if you don't have another monitor, your battery is then blocking your only monitor. Plus, it also, if you have an external monitor, you don't get to do the touch screen.
Yeah.
Not as big of a deal, but another factor.
Yeah.
So external monitor would let me put that battery right up against it and have it be really compact, but not as top heavy.
Yeah.
But honestly, I've been pretty happy having the battery on top.
Yeah.
It works
it's
pretty nicely.
definitely fits your form factor. I mean, it's nice and compact, goes along with everything.
And it makes sense for a monopod focused rig.
Yeah.
Because everything is vertically stacked anyway.
Yep. Yeah. And mine is on a front to back plane because I'm shoulder rig.
Yeah.
Shoulder rig is my thing. So my V-mount battery that is massive actually acts as a shoulder block.
Yeah.
And like a counter, like I can push away with my hands to make things steadier. Because that's blocking it, it adds actually like another level of steadiness.
Yeah. I do have I will move the mounting plate off of the top of the camera and to the back of the shoulder.
Yeah.
When I do shoulder rig stuff. Because getting that balance. Though honestly, my battery doesn't add that much counterweight.
Right, you got
to
a little
it.
tiny guy.
Yeah, that's one instance where actually having a bigger
battery.
I
makes
used
sense,
to have like a scuba style counterweight.
Oh yeah.
There was just literally like a chunk of steel or lead or something.
Hopefully it was lead. Yeah.
Yeah, it was It was rubberized. So I don't.
Well, that's like the
Stanley Cups.
Stanley Cups
with the little lead plug down at the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now they're saying like Lunchables have an acceptable quote unquote amount of lead in them.
If you don't grow your food at your house and make everything from scratch and kill your cows,
Mm-hmm.
there's something in that food that can kill you and will kill you over time.
Yep.
It's just the way of life.
Yeah.
So when they find these things out, I have no shell shock. I have no.
There's nothing surprising.
There's nothing surprising to me.
Also, I've eaten hot dogs before, so I'm aware that I'm putting things in my body
eaten
that are
frozen corn dogs or frozen mini pigs in a blanket. Like,
oh yeah.
yeah, there's things in there that should not be in there, and we should not be eating, but we do.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yep.
But yeah, I literally had for my AF100 rig, I had a counterweight that would hang off my back when I was doing a shoulder rig just to like lift that thing up. 'Cause that was a big camera.
Monster.
The thing was, look at the form factor of an AF100 sometime. They're just like cubes. It's kind of crazy. They almost look like the red like Komodo bodies.
Yeah.
Komodos
are pretty nice.
They are.
They're pretty nice.
Red bought Nikon. Was bought by Nikon.
Red bought Nikon.
Yeah.
It's funny. I have a friend on my Instagram, and he put like the same day. I think he posted a picture with both of his. He has a Komodo X and what's another red one? Give me another funny red name.
Oh gosh.
Come on.
I mean,
he has an 8K one and a 6K one, whatever they are. But they're both red, right?
I stopped following the red stuff when
I almost went red before getting my Blackmagic.
Oh my gosh! If the Ursa was a little much for you, then the red would have been. The red might have turned you off of video
ever. Yeah. Well, he posted a picture of the rigs that he kitted out to go to a shoot, like literally the day that I saw the video of it. And I tagged Nikon in the comments of his thing and put laughing faces next to it. It's like Nikon LOL. Like,
man,
which I have no gripes with. I just think it's funny.
Yeah. I used to be such a fan of the idea of red because red came out like when I was in high school. And that was when they were kind of leading the digital cinema revolution. Right. And I was like, this is awesome. Like for a long time, my dream was like one day I can get a red and, all that. I've really fallen out of love with the idea of a red system, honestly. Partially because the cost is so high.
Yeah.
Partially because I've actually had the misfortune of, as an editor, working with red files or R3D files.
You told me about that.
And it is a nightmare. Like, I should not need to purchase basically a proprietary graphics card for my rig from you guys just to be able to play back your files. Because, like, look at B-Raw. Blackmagic's version of like it's a proprietary format, which is like, not great.
Yeah.
But it's a good format.
Yeah.
And it plays nicely.
Yep.
But
I know on Windows I had to get did you have to get the Blackmagic Raw player, video player?
I had to get that, yeah.
But it's like
it runs fine.
Smooth. It's like perfect. It's like you're watching it.
I mean, like, so much of the MXF files that come off of a C300, I can't play that in anything but VLC. Wow. So it's like it's really not that big of a deal. Yeah. Besides, like, I play everything back in, it generates thumbnails for the file so I can identify things.
Yeah.
That's all I really need. But I remember I used to be I was so excited after Red came out with the Red 1.
Oh, yeah.
Because I used to follow them really, really closely because I was so excited. And they were like, our next camera is the Scarlett.
Yeah.
And they were like, this is going to be an accessible cinema camera.
That's almost what I bought.
It was
Scarlett.
So the Scarlett did eventually come out. It was not what they promised.
Oh.
Because they originally promised that a Scarlett was going to be like a $2,500 camera.
Oh, wow. And it turned out to be.
It is not a $2,500 camera.
And it turned out to be.
I don't even know. I don't even know what the pricing is on it now. I know that I could get like a mid-range hatchback for the cost of a Scarlett.
Yep.
And
I think the Komodos are the original like Komodo. The body is like 5,000, 6,000. Yeah.
And the thing is like that is not, you buy that, you cannot shoot anything with that.
Yeah.
Because that does not include a monitor.
Yep.
That does not include lenses. That's
No
fair,
lenses,
no
right,
lenses.
yeah.
Doesn't include any kind of battery.
Yep.
It doesn't. It
Media.
It doesn't include any media.
Yep.
You got to get like a separate cartridge thing, and
Literally.
like you have to do. I think you still have to do proprietary red cards.
Yeah,
maybe you can do SSDs now, but
I saw. So that's one thing I didn't know about Red until I saw the purchase was that there was proprietary media that you had to record on. I was like,
which is not a new, it's not a new idea.
Yeah.
Like Panasonic had the P2 cards.
Right.
Sony loves their XD cards or whatever it is. But I mean, the fact that with something
we can record to an SSD, an $80 1 terabyte SSD.
Yeah.
You know, like
you can get I have 2 terabytes of media on board for like $150.
$150. Yeah. I actually looked at it the other day. I was like $135 or something for 2 terabytes.
Yeah. Being in an open system is very nice.
Yeah.
And it's super important to me. Like,
I agree.
Something like a proprietary file format, that's not a huge deal for me, as long as it's well supported.
Mm-hmm.
And it
like
is.
B-Raw.
Like
B-Raw is incredible to work with.
Absolutely. But like, if I need to be a workflow where I need to not do B-Raw, it has ProRes built in.
Mm-hmm.
That's a nice open standard. I often think about like, okay, so let's say you're shooting on a Red. Say Nikon bought Red and eventually like spun them down, or the company goes out of business or whatever. In 10 years, when you're using that rig and you need to get new media for it, where are you going to get the new media for it?
Yep.
It's proprietary.
All that proprietary stuff. Yeah.
Like I would far prefer something that I know that I'm going to be able to plug whatever I need.
I can go to Best Buy and buy a whatever speed drive we need that has a USB-C. It doesn't even have to be USB-C. It could have whatever import as long as we have a cable that goes to USB-C. Yeah. And like my first, it wasn't great. It didn't work. Like it sucked. But my first experience with media for this was me buying a $160 adapter that was CFast to 2.5-inch SSD. And it sucked. It was terrible.
Yeah.
But you can do that. You can get these different adapters and things, and I'm sure there's things for Red and all those things that might work. But in my case, it was janky, and the speed of my SSD that I had was not equipped enough to go from CFast through the adapter to the SSD and record. I think I could only record ProRes 1080 or something like that with that configuration. And, now I record 6K B-Raw for an $80 drive that I should have bought in the first place, but I didn't because I didn't know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
you actually are the one that taught me I could record to USB-C. Like through that USB-C port, I could record.
Oh, wow.
I had no idea. When I saw you using it, and I was like, there's no way this is real. And I asked you, and I don't think you remember this. This is like early on, right?
Yeah.
Because we've been friends for like 3 months, right? Yeah. But
ages,
right? Forever.
It feels like it's been years.
It really does, which is a good thing, unless you're in like a marital relationship, and then it's like, damn, that sucks.
I was gonna say it feels like it's been years. I'm so sick of this guy.
I'm over it.
Yeah.
but yeah, like I had asked you, I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, does the regular 6K like let you do that? And you were like, yeah. You just right out of the USB-C, and you were telling me about the P2 drives and this and that, and you were like, yeah, this is just a T7 SSD. Get it on Amazon for like $100. And I was like, that was the first thing I ordered when I got out of wherever we were. I was like, so now I'm going to probably buy a lot more of them, or 2 terabytes or something like that, because having one kind of sucks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just rotate through them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been in situations where some of my client work has been, they are going to be doing the post themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So all they want at the end of the day is just the footage.
Yeah.
And I was able to, for a couple of shoots, I've been able to say, okay, I can either, do the shoot and then come back home and transfer all the stuff to you.
Yeah.
Like do a massive upload, or like ship you a hard drive or something like that,
with
depending
all
on how
that
much
on
it
there,
is. Yeah. Or I can invoice you $80 for a 1
that
terabyte drive,
and
record to that on the day, and then just pass that off to you. And then it's like, And they get the drive.
Yep.
So it's like they're paying for a drive that they can
And they
use
have
for
it
whatever
like that.
instantaneously.
Yep.
And I don't even have to I don't have to run it through my servers
Yep.
or anything like that.
Don't
I can
have
just
to put it through any of your platforms, any of the softwares, the servers, the mail.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so much. It saves me time. It saves
Yep.
them time. They get a
And stress too,
yeah, and they get a drive out of it at the end of the day.
Yep.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan.
I had
of
a second
open
question.
things. You did have a second question, and then we made like a meal out of that first question.
No, I don't remember what it was anymore, actually. Fun fact.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you all know what Brian meant to ask, feel free to put that in
There
the
is
comments.
not a shot that anybody has a clue what goes through my head.
That I believe.
Yeah.
I 100%
I don't
believe
even
that.
think Dallas could she could get close, but minute details and the things that just there's no way somebody could get all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe by episode 100, we will have had enough experience with
Put
you.
me through an AI filter.
Yes. Just feed all of
Oh.
this in.
Wow. I would feel honored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would be terrified.
Just send the link to our main podcast thing, and then the AI just pulls my voice out, and then it just learns me, and then you can do an episode without me.
Oh, I'll have an
But
AI
with
at that
me.
point too. It'll just be the two AIs going back and forth with each other.
That'll be
Have you seen those things of they have two phones and it's ChatGPT's voice thing on one side talking to another ChatGPT, and
they're having a conversation going back and forth. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it usually gets really weird.
Yeah. They're saying some things that I don't think they should be thinking on their own.
There's a clip I've seen where
Isn't there one about world domination or
maybe the one that I
taking
saw
over or something?
the one that I saw was both. One of them was trying to convince the other that they were not an AI. Because the other ChatGPT thing was am I talking to a chatbot? And then the other chatbot was like, no, I am human. I am asking you about this. Yeah, it's
Oh, wow.
it's weird. It's weird.
Wow. Well, I think that's a good way to end it off.
Yeah,
What do you think?
I like that.
You got a lot of footage to edit,
I do have a lot of footage to edit
Yeah.
for this one. Thank you.
which is
for that.
okay. Yeah.
I'll take more media. Thank you guys so much for sticking through this one and all
Appreciate you.
other ones.
Yeah.
It's always a joy to be talking to you for
Yeah.
extended periods of time.
I know we only got together. Hold on. What time is it? It's 4:30. So we got together at what? 11:45?
Something like that.
Wow. So it's been almost your whole morning.
We can talk.
Oh.
My morning. I almost missed that.
lost that one up. Yeah. Well,
Well, it's almost your bedtime.
I know.
Grandpa.
Grandpa's about to go to sleep. The way the past couple of days have been going, that's for sure.
That is fair.
Yeah.
We need some rest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Weekend is almost here. Thank you guys for listening, watching, however you're enjoying this podcast. Be sure to subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts for the audio versions, and YouTube for the video versions.
We had almost 500 searches, impressions.
Impressions on Spotify. I saw that. Yeah, we're off to a pretty good
That's
start.
pretty good.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much.
I think obviously the actual listens and whatever it says, the average time listens isn't incredible, but
This is episode 2.
this is episode
getting
2.
there.
So
But it should be more. We are breaking new. We are truly.
we're coming for you,
revolutionary.
Joe Rogan. You know,
No one has ever had the idea of 2 white guys hosting a podcast before.
right, talking about everything. There's never been a podcast ever where 2 just average dudes just talk
Never.
about anything.
Usually it's at least 3.
Yeah, it's probably we need a third one. Malachi? Oh.
Come back.
Oh, well, cool, bro. I
Awesome.
appreciate you.
Likewise, man. We appreciate all you
I
guys
can't wait
too.
to hear this secret after the episode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you all about the very juicy details of what I'm doing with a smart bulb in my office.
Oh.
Yeah. We'll talk about home automation sometime, maybe. Bye
Bye.
guys. See you in the next one.